Hi everyone, just a really quick little chat about the first assignment. By no means comprehensive, but we have lots of opportunities to talk assignment one over the coming weeks. So I'll be posting this at the end of week one, but we have Adobe Connect sessions coming up. We have the forum that's open, as well as further reference the assignment in podcasts and that sort of thing. So please, actually, I'll go to my first slide. If you have any questions, write them down and I'll explain a little at the end of this presentation on what you should be doing with those questions in terms of the first assessment task. A brief agenda of what I'm going to be talking about today. Firstly, I'll give you an overview of the task, which are learning outcomes it's aligned with, as well as the marking criteria. Talk briefly about referencing at uni, but there are further resources that have been developed specifically for HCS103 in terms of referencing. Talk a bit about Allen support, the Adobe Connect sessions that are upcoming. Talk about extensions and special consideration, as well as what to do with those pertinent assessment one questions. So your first assessment task, as you're probably all aware after having read through the subject outline, is worth 40% of the course mark. It's due on the 11th of August. I like to think about it in terms of session weeks. So it's Friday of week 5 that it's due. It's 3 short answer questions, which are worth 600 words each. So the task. In part A, I'm asking you to identify what you think are the most important core values and ethics as specified in the first topic in your learning modules. Just to clarify, the most important values and ethics in social work and human services, and why these are the most important in your mind. Your answer should refer to the ASW Code of Ethics as well as ASW Practice Standards. Both of these documents are in your Assessment 1 resources folder. I had a handy question already on the Assessment 1 forum in regards to this first part, and the question was talking about whether it can be written in the first person, since I am asking what you think are the most important core values and ethics. And yes, for this part A, please feel free to write in the first person as you are talking about what you think in this task. Part B asks you to explain some of the ways that the ethical practice of social work and human services can contribute to Indigenous Australian people's self-determination. What are some of the arguments made within the readings for the importance of self-determination for Indigenous people's social well-being? So you may not have looked at that content yet within the subject. That's in particular week 3 type content. So please don't feel overwhelmed at this stage if you don't feel equipped to answer that question. There is a lot of reading around that that you'll need to embark upon prior to completing the assessment task. Part C asks you to discuss some of the challenges that immigration patterns over time in Australia have posed to social work and human services practice. Of course, using references in all of these tasks. Give an example of how practice has changed in response. The examples could be from the readings or from your own experience. So again, that content is week 3, which you won't have access to the lectures yet, but you do have access to your learning modules, and I'll be posting the lectures for week 3 next week. Learning outcomes that these tasks are correlated with are listed on your slide. There's no need for me to sort of read through all these learning outcomes, but please look at those at your own leisure. The marking criteria. So, big hint, we mark against this. I've got on the slides that your markers for this assignment are myself, Roger Pethrin, and Sabine Augustine, my colleagues within the school. It's likely that we'll also have Lisa Armitage marking for this subject, as well as potentially another marker. As you're aware, it's a really large student cohort, and logistically, to be able to get your assignments back to you within 15 working days, I need some assistance with the marking. So I will introduce you a little bit to all of your markers prior to the assessment being due. The markers are a mix of staff from the school who have either taught this subject in the past or marked for this subject, are currently teaching this subject on campus, and all with a great knowledge and wealth of experience in the field. So if you do submit your assignment on time, it will be returned within 15 business days. So this is your marking criteria. I need to move my face here a little bit because it's a little bit in the way. I'll just get out of your screen for a little while. I'm still here though. The marking criteria is available within the subject outline. Please refer to it because, as I mentioned, as markers, this is what we mark against. We look at your paper and we see whether you have completed these things. If you're looking at getting those higher end grades, look into the marking criteria, what you need to be doing to achieve those grades. So as you can see, there's 10 marks for each question, each section of the task, as well as an additional 10 marks for your written expression in your referencing. So please pay particular attention to those things, and there are supports available for those elements too, and they can be a really easily gained 10 marks if you put some effort into getting that extra assistance or reviewing the way that you've written and referenced your work. So I'll slide myself back in here. Here I am. Hi guys. Some general guidelines around a submission of your assessment. Please don't submit in PDF format. We utilize online marking, so we can't actually mark your assignment if it's in PDF format. A 2.5 centimeter margin around all sides of your document. Within the header, please put your name and your student ID number and your subject code and a page number in the footer. Your line spacing should be double. Font, we need to have a standardized font. It's sometimes we get submissions with fonts that may be difficult to read or too small, so please follow the guidelines there. You also need a title page or a cover sheet, and this isn't the cover sheet that's automatically generated through EAST. This is one you write yourself. So I've got all the details down the bottom of this slide of what we need on your cover sheet there too. It's really important to have this sheet on there. I mean, it means that your assignment's not going to get lost amongst the others, and we're going to be it's a nice checks and balances to make sure that everyone's assignments are being marked and processed correctly. Please write your 3 answers in one single document. Don't submit 3 pieces of work, and put the reference list for the entire task at the end of the 3 answers. Please use subheadings for Part A, Part B and Part C. And there's some guidelines as well at the bottom of this slide around the word count. It's quite short. To have a really good quality discussion on these questions could take many, many more words, and I guess it's building that academic skill about prioritizing the information and really writing worthwhile words. I've got a lot of resources that were developed as well for this course in terms of paragraph and sentence structure, short YouTube videos, so please access those as they become available. I'll upload those in the next couple of weeks in writing your assignment. So one such resource is a resource that's been developed particularly for referencing in this subject. So this short clip gives you clear guidance on how to reference a textbook for starters, as well as some other generalised referencing advice which is pertinent to this subject. Also, for those of you who haven't used before, the bottom link is the APA referencing tool, which is a really handy website. It gives you clear guidance on how to reference a lot of different materials. In terms of support around literacy and writing, I've popped a lot of videos and links within the Assessment 1 folder, as well as a University Study folder within your resources. There's a number of types of appointments that you can have with the Allen team through email, Skype, phone. The Allen team are not just there for those who struggle with language and literacy. They're there for all of us, really. I know that fellow colleagues of mine studying their PhD have sent through their work to the Allen team just for review, because it's very easy, even as a seasoned writer, to look over those small grammatical errors after you've read your work a few times. Allen have this wonderful service where you can email off your paper and it will be returned within 24 hours, and they'll check over your grammar and your referencing and that sort of thing. we'll be holding a couple of Adobe Connect drop-in sessions to discuss this assignment. So on this slide, I've got when these sessions will be. I won't be preparing any specific content for these sessions, but it's a chance to come and have a chat about the assignment, and they'll be recorded as well. So there's some quite in-depth information on this slide about extensions and special consideration. I guess the most pertinent information is if you're not going to be able to make the deadline for submission, the due date, you do need to email me prior to the due date. You need to email me letting me know what the situation is and that you're requesting an extension. I'll then confirm or deny that extension as relevant by reply email. So on this slide, I've just popped some pointers of what would warrant an extension on an assessment task within this subject and things that wouldn't. So I mean, if work's really busy, I can't grant an extension for that. It's understood as part of higher education, adult learning, that you are able to prioritise your time and get a start quite early on some of these assessment tasks in case those sort of things do come up. I know we're all leading really busy and hectic lives, and it is important to know that perhaps a week before the assessment task you may be really busy and not have a spare minute to do anything. So please start thinking about that now. And I mean, that's why I've recorded this lecture so early on in session, because it will be there as a resource and you can get a start on this assignment. Questions. So please pop any of your questions on the Assignment 1 forum, and some of you have already done that, so thank you very much. You'll notice that I am responding to forum questions quite quickly, so you won't be waiting too long. If for some reason I've missed it and it's about 2 days later, please send me a reminder. Alternatively, if you plan to come to the Adobe sessions, you can actually jump into the Adobe room prior to the meeting at any stage and leave questions on the question board there, which I'll address when we have the meeting together. Please only email me regarding your assessment tasks if you require an extension for any of those pre-mentioned reasons. Generally, you won't be needing to email me any assessment related questions because you'll be able to pop those on the forum and for the benefit of everyone as well. So thank you and good luck, and I'll be talking to you all soon. So take care, jump on the forum, and please let me know if there's any questions as a result of this chat. Thank you. Bye.